Hello, welcome to the Ginger and a Half podcast. This is the Inaugural Beast, stomping a fiery path to the heart of gingerdom and short city. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be short, ginger, or even both? Well, buckle up, chaps and lasses, and join us on the less than convincing journey for the next 20 or 30 minutes. Introducing your hosts.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm the ginger one.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the short one, occasionally ginger with a beard. So, yes, let's start this off. So, welcome to a brand new podcast that we've been meaning to get started for the past year or so.
Buckle up, buddies.
So, I think we should talk about how this kind of came about, really, right?
Very overdue, isn't it? Well, it's a serene love story at the heart of the tale, isn't it? You know, you can picture the scene. It's quite a touchy subject to talk about because obviously it's been not going ahead this year. But 2000 Trees Festival, rest in peace. Rest in peace. We miss you dearly. 2000 Trees Festival 2019 is the scene of the crime. You know, we were both there on separate business ventures representing various media organisations. And, you know, we just happened to watch a lot of great shows by some heavy ass bands, riffs
Incredible.
and that all day. Incredible, just head blowing, crazy stuff. Laughing a bit in the comedy tent where there's some
That comedy tent was incredible.
there was some mental stuff going on there.
Oh my God, much
suppose
better than
this
Frank
is-
Carter. Frank
Oh,
Carter?
yeah.
Oh, no, wrong one. Was it Frank Carter? No, Frank Carter's the heavy guy, isn't he? He's the punk one. What was the... Oh my God. Yeah, Frank Turner. There we go. I like Frank Carter. He's a ginger.
Oh man, the other day you said you didn't like him. He is ginger though, to be fair. Shout out Frank Carter. That's the first shout out of the podcast. A well-worthy ginger. Chris, if you were to rate him as a ginger, purely on his gingerness, out of 10, what would you give him?
Oh my God, he is like at least a 9.1 ginger. Like, he's got that shorter hair sometimes. He's got the freckles. Yeah, he's got the angst as well in his punk.
He does. He's fiery, isn't he? Frank Carter, you heard it here. Ginger and a Half podcast rates you highly. Salute.
I mainly remember him from the first band. I can't remember what their name was, though. It really annoys me. What were they called again?
Gallows.
Gallows, yes. Found them on a CD that was part of Kerrang back when they used to give out CDs. I missed that.
So this is now turned into a history lesson.
Yeah. I mean, does that show my age?
We won't tell the listeners that. Listeners, you don't need to know. Anyway, continuing with the origin story. It was, as many great things in life, it was the common hatred that brought us both together. I remember quite clearly, after lots of great bands and fun and high entertainment, we were stood at the back of the crowd who had piled up in the masses, full of excitement to see none other than true British rock legends, Yumi at Six.
Oh, God.
Yumi at Six delivered what can only be described as a subpar performance, or at least that's how we felt. As enraged, ginger, and sometimes short people, we felt we had to do what we could. We stood at the back of that crowd, yelling at them to...
Play Slayer!
Yeah, we were just... Slayer! But alas, they did not listen and heed and play any Slayer.
We just got a bunch of tunes from FIFA.
Yeah, I suppose if you look at it in retrospect, it does make sense that they wouldn't play any Slayer songs, considering that they're not Slayer.
I mean, a cover of Rain in Blood would have been pretty good.
It would have been, but it probably would have driven away a lot of their fans, who I'm not going to dispose any words upon. Anyway.
I do have a confession to make about Yumi at Six, though. I'm not sure if I told you this, but they are actually the first band I ever saw live.
Fair play to you. I have a confession as well, and it's not even a guilty one. Sinners Never Sleep. That's a classic album.
What an album that was.
That bangs. You know, it's the post Sinners Yumi at Six, and obviously that's what annoyed us on the day, wasn't it? This was just...
Oh dear, you've crunched everything up there. What happened there? That'll have to get cut out.
Oh, sorry, I just pressed on the screen. I think my microphone is But yeah, so we were standing there on the hill, yelling abuse as best we could, and abuse yelling turned into humorous, whimsical thinking about wouldn't it be good fun if we sat down together and recorded our mockeries and silly takes that no one really wants to hear, and shove it in people's faces anyway. So people, that's what we gonna do.
And the Ginger and a Half podcast was born, the podcast you never wanted to hear.
You never needed it. Here it is. Slap down in your face.
Right in your ears.
Like
Right.
a wet salmon.
So speaking of festivals, I want to introduce my short straw of the show. So this past weekend, Bank Holiday, should have been Slam Dunk Festival for us for 2020.
Oh, man.
Another festival missing out. So I made a list of the bands that I'm actually gutted to be missing, that I was desperate to see, and I want you to kind of, I want you to rate these for me and see what your opinions are of them. So
what's the rating scale? You go with a start out of 10, or am I just giving you an opinion? You know, come on.
I'd like an opinion on them. I'd like an opinion. Seeing as we've just kind of trashed the latest Yumi at 6 stuff, I think I want to hear.
How many words?
Let's give you. Oh, okay. We'll do the classic 5 words.
5 words.
Yes.
Bring it.
Okay. So there's about 14 bands here, so this is going to be fun. So one of my main ones was Billy Talent. Have you listened to their new stuff?
Not acquainted enough with them.
Damn. I absolutely love that band. Another band that I found through a Kerrang CD.
Hold tight the Kerrang CDs, though. You know, I think they
play
a full part in every young rocker's life.
I used to have back in the day when you could copy the music, burn the music off the CDs onto the Xbox. I used to play it in the background of Driver 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a sick game. Next up, Issues.
Oh, my flexing is an issue. That's a tune. Yeah, okay, they're not bad. I was potentially going to go see them. They played in Birmingham, I think a few months ago. Did you see them on that tour?
I missed it, unfortunately. I know that our friend Orr saw them and interviewed them.
Second shout out of the series of the thing, or Byhovsky.
Okay. Oh no, our signal's going again.
Yeah, no. Oh.
There we go, we're back.
It's your fault. No, it was one of those. I was gonna I think I'd seen they were playing the gig, and her PR messaged me about them before I really sort of checked them out. So I did check them out because of it. I kind of dug them, but it wasn't like 100% I need to go. It was kind of like, well, yeah, I'd like to, but I had other stuff on at the time as well. And, you know, you don't always have 7 fingers. So
yeah, I think they're unfortunately not going to be on the 2021 redo, but fingers crossed we get them over in the UK again, because that would be a sick tour. Right, one of the biggest bands that I really wanted to see, Code Orange. What about that album this year? Oh my God, it was quality.
That would be straight heft.
What do you think? Have you listened to that album this year?
I've heard. Do you know what? I haven't heard it anywhere near as much as I should. And again, Code Orange, a very relevant band for the podcast, including the name people.
Exactly. It'd be great to get them on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, we're sending out the feelers straight away. Also, Frank Carter, to be fair, if we're dragging him back a little bit, Frank Carter, he should definitely be a guest at some point.
Yeah, if he wants to come have a chat with us.
He's dead ginger, bro. Code Orange, though, I need to listen to that album a bit more. Like, the first album, that was crazy popping. I remember, they just stormed the whole thing, didn't they? They blitzed the castle, man. They would have been crazy live as well. So, no, that is a shame.
Code Orange, that album is just so futuristic and glitchy and amazing. It's probably up there with one of my albums of the year so far.
Yeah, one of these bands redefining stuff a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're pushing the packet.
They're amazing. So up next, a band that you know that I absolutely adore. You should probably be able to guess about who it is that I'm talking about. Dream State.
Oh,
Dream
Dream
State.
yeah. Dream State. Do I have 5 words on Dream State? A band I should listen to more of. That was more than 5 words, but
You really should
yeah.
listen to them more. Their new album is fantastic. We Are the In Crowd we're supposed to make their comeback. They recently released their Weird Kids B-sides. They're a band
Oh,
that I saw at Slam Dunk 2014, I think it was, back in the
back when you were a
university.
nipper.
Hey?
Back when you was a nipper.
Indeed. 2014, I would have been, oh, good grief, 23. I've just revealed my age.
Oh, no.
But yeah, We Are the In Crowd making their comeback would have been amazing. I'm just going to run off the next bunch. Let me know if there's any that kind of stand out to you. So we've got Bury Tomorrow, Polaris.
Yeah.
Normandy, because I never got to catch them live last year.
They were sick of trees, though. You saw them at trees, didn't you?
I interviewed them, but I didn't get to catch them live, which was
I think I saw them because you or said to me to make sure you check them out. I'd never listened to them before. They were crazy good, man. Yeah.
Another great, just all music from Sweden seems to be amazing, right? They're a Swedish band, so right, okay. So Vukovi are a band that I've really loved this year, who've released an album.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good things, heard a lot of good things, but I've not injected them into my ear holes as of yet.
I got hold of their vinyl actually this year when it released. I think it's an orange one as well, so definitely one that you should be looking at. Yeah, Chunk No Captain Chunk was supposed to come back over the UKCs. A band that I discovered because of Slam Dunk 2014, but sadly missed because I think we were watching another band at the time. So yeah, and then the last 3, you've got Yours Truly, the amazing band from Australia. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, probably one of the only punk and Drublic bands that I would have gone to see, and Stand Atlantic.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you reeled off quite an extensive list of bands that you are ashamed that you wouldn't have seen at Slam Dunk this year.
Yeah.
And isn't there anywhere.
Oh, I mean, they were definitely considered, but I had to pick like an amount of bands that, I mean, I know. It's kind of, how do I explain? I mean, I love that band.
Explain it. That's a blasphemous decision.
You were saying that you haven't listened to certain bands enough.
Yeah.
I'm like that with While She Sleeps, sadly.
Okay. See, before Trees, I was like that. I don't think I'd ever really listened to them, but obviously they were a big name playing at Trees, so I thought, all right, let's do the time, let's put the work in, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a match made in heaven.
I must admit, by the way, we're both wearing festival t-shirts today. I'm actually wearing my Slam Dunk 2017 t-shirt. Trees from last year? Hell yeah. Oh, I got the red version of that one. It's such a good top. So I mean, should we carry on with music, I guess? Do you have like anything that you've been listening to recently that you've absolutely been loving? Have you got any albums that you've been listening to? Any singles?
What have I been listening to recently? I don't think there's that much new stuff that I've been listening to. Like, we listened to that new Cult Mountain, which is straight like underground UK hippity hop. So that's a bit left field of where we are with this conversation.
Yeah.
Malevolence. I've been listening to a bit of them.
Okay.
Some heavy shit.
Noise.
Kind of. Yeah, just heavy, sort of hard breakdown stuff. The guy's got a strong voice. It's like metalcore that gives you a bit of a hug.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
What is that Russian band that just like became a meme again? Oh, it's just like the heaviest thing ever. I'm gonna have to cheat here and find it on YouTube. Oh, damn, what are they called? That's really annoying me now. But literally, there's a meme now of him like going really hard on the vocals from the breakdown, screaming in Russian, and everybody's just like, "Whoa!" Oh my god, I can't remember the name. If you're listening and you can remember who it is, send us a message at what's our social media right now?
True. So on the social medias, you'll be able to hit us on the Twitter sphere at GAAH podcast or GA podcast. And it's
Gah!
going to be the same, GA, however you like to pronounce it. It's going to be the same on the Facebook and the Instagrizzle.
Beautiful.
No doubt. So we're there. We'd also like to request any listeners to tag a ginger. We're going to be doing on the socials, we're going to be rating gingers basically. And that is as simple as it sounds, that we're going to rate gingers on their gingerness. I can't really tell you too much more than that because there's not too much to it. Like with Frank Carter, for example, it's easy to see that he is a strong ginger. He does well for the gingers. There's going to be some, for example, that are a bit more ashamed of their gingerness. They try to hide it. Maybe they get a 4 out of 10. But yeah, so tag us any gingers. Send us photos of random gingers, like literally whatever. We're pushing the ginger agenda and we're pushing it damn hard. And you can help us do that, listeners. So the AAH podcast everywhere.
I've also put out on my Facebook page today asking for any ginger friends to submit their daily common issues that they have to deal with. So be prepared for some issues talked about on the next episode of this podcast. I'm sure they'll be really interesting.
We're going to raise awareness for gingers because, a lot of gingers go through things they shouldn't have to. I'm sure we've all walked past people that are trying to spark up a cigarette and said, "Oh, let me light it using your hair, mate." Oh. And it's, although sometimes it can be the most hilarious thing you've ever heard in your life, it does get kind of boring. I'm sick of being treated like I'm not as good as the next man because my hair's better than the next man's. So yeah, ginger awareness, we're going to be talking about that a little bit. The revolution as well, Chris, I think we can mention some of that to them, but we don't really want the people to know that there's going to be a massive ginger uprising and we're going to kill everyone and overthrow Parliament just yet, do we?
No, but you'll need to send in the short people first. So, we need to talk about short people issues as well. So I want to hear from listeners, any listeners under 5'5", what issues you have to deal with, whether that's daily at a music festival or at a gig or just, in general. Let me know what you think. Obviously, the worst thing is being short in the middle of a pit. Oh my God. I remember there was a gig that I was at in Manchester last year. And this idiot was doing the classic kung fu kicks in the pit. And I'm glad that I'm short because that leg went over my head.
Mad. How are you complaining? It worked to your advantage then.
It was very close. But there was, I have to tell you, there was one story that I need to tell you about. Many years ago when I was still in college and I was just discovering gigs for the first time. I think it was a gig when we went to see We Are the Ocean back when they were doing their screaming vocals. There was a guy who I was friends with at the time. Don't even know his name anymore. But literally he was like pretty much double the height of me. And he picked me up and threw me into the middle of the pit, literally launched me. I landed flat on my front and got piled on by the whole pit, and I couldn't piss for about 2 or 3 days after. It was a hell of a gig, though. One hell of a gig.
At least you remember it well.
The issues with being short. Right, okay. So talking of music recommendations, I've got a couple myself because I've found myself going down a few rabbit holes recently. So sticking with like the guitar side of things, I've actually been making my way back through the 70s recently. Now, I've never really been a fan of like older rock music. So people may be surprised to know and may turn off instantly when they hear that I'm not actually a fan of like Metallica or Megadeth, so I don't have an opinion on the two.
That does surprise me, but first of all, I don't think they're as old as 70s.
They're 80s-ish, but 80s and 90s.
Like a complete fool in front of me. Not even anyone else there. That's just
Well, I mean, anything that's probably before maybe like early 2000s onwards is probably my kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
I'll admit I did get into my rock because of Guns N' Roses. So
One thing for you then, to interject quickly, opinion on Pantera.
I've got to admit I only really probably know a couple of their songs. I like them.
Mad, okay.
I
Well, it's
know.
funny, for me, they were like one of the bands that really formed my kind of liking for heavy stuff.
Mm.
It was like, I think I liked All Time Low and like early Unit 6 and like soft stuff like that. And then listened to a bit of Metallica with my dad. And then Pantera was like the jump. And from there, vroom. But go on,
Yeah.
sorry, more 70s stuff.
I think for me, I went from Guns N' Roses to, I think I went from like Guns N' Roses over to Lamb of God and System of a Down, really. They were kind of like my progression, plus Pendulum as well. Oh my God. So many like great stuff back then, which has kind of formed part of it's literally formed my listening kind of habits. But a band that I've really discovered a love for again, and I originally discovered them purely because of Guitar Hero. Do you know Heart?
What, H-A-R-T?
Heart, Heart, the band. So they are originally from the 70s. They have an album. The first album was Dreamboat Annie, and that features Crazy on You. If you know the Eminem song that has Crazy on You as the vocals. Let me go crazy on you. Crazy on you. Anyway, so yeah, they do that. That is an album that I listened to in full recently, which is actually really incredible. It's called Dreamboat Annie. That's 1975, and then also I discovered actually last night they did an amazing live cover of Stairway to Heaven on their album Little Queen. So a couple of recommendations for old school albums. Speaking of new stuff, I would probably recommend London punk-based band, punk London-based band. Have you heard of Cope?
Oh, I've heard of them, yeah, but I don't think I've checked them.
So they've just dropped their new album, The Shock Doctrine, which is absolutely incredible. They focus a lot on issues to do with like global warming. They're really into like the politics side of things. It's really, really good. Kind of the vocals stick with you right through. It is fantastic. Plus, there's a cool little interlude called "Territory Missing," which has like really old school, like 1930s kind of ukulele, banjolele kind of stuff going on in the background, which I love as well.
Yeah.
And my final recommendation, going away from guitar stuff, I'm actually into like my EDM and my drum and bass stuff. So if you've not heard of Coven, they've just released a new album called Butterfly Effect recently, and it is absolutely fantastic. They got asked as well to do a remix by Steve Aoki recently. He slid into their DMs. Yeah. So pretty cool. So what do you want to go on to next, Andy?
Well, I mean, if you're going to recommend some people, I'm going to recommend some people.
Hell yeah.
That I've been listening to a bit more recently is a guy, if I can pronounce his name properly, is Devon Gilfillian, and especially a song called Troublemaker. It's that kind of really twangy, like country southern, but still rocky. You know, that's a formula that I've grown to love a lot. I think kind of more like a stripped down Every Time I Die, you know.
Okay.
Crazy, but them boys sometimes just mad chaotic, aren't they? You know, I love their riffs though, just like that kind of southern twangy. But I've been listening to probably a lot more hip hop stuff recently, to be fair. High Focus. Telemachus, who's a new signing for them, has recently got a new album, so I'm reviewing that at the moment. Then, like I said, the Cult Mountain stuff, so big up Lee Scott, Milcavelli, The Boys, Trellian. That stuff's crazy. If you like your UK kind of off the cuff, swagged out raps, that's good. I don't really think. I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to the new Currents album. That's one thing I do have on the radar.
Yes, that's going to be so good.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, they're big and heavy. They're worth checking out for anyone who likes big and heavy.
Yep. I'm short and heavy.
Yeah, they work for that too. Yeah, that's all I'm going to put blast on for now.
Sweet. So I'm gonna kind of recommend a film at the moment as well that I watched last night on Netflix. It is the remix of. Oh yeah, my brother's amazing. He's decided to pay for Netflix for all of us. So big shout to the younger brother. There was the remake of the classic 1980s film Child's Play, featuring the one and only Chucky.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah. So off one. I mean, I don't know if we have to disown him as a ginger, being the fact that he's crazy and wants to kill everyone.
Should we put this one up for debate with the listeners?
I think so. I think we should have it on our social media.
Also, that's a point I forgot to mention. Something I have genuinely done in my life in the past at some points is, when you've got, I'd say people that are kind of half ginger, or, they've got ginger features, but not like ginger hair. They've got mad freckles, for example, but kind of more brown hair, or a little bit like yourself. I have been known to give people honorary passes. Now, if you didn't know, this is something that all gingers have the power to do. And once you're given a pass, they do actually communicate with themselves. We've got a whole system of kind of communication and connectivity to sort of let each other know. So, yeah, we can also approve or take away these kind of rights.
Ooh.
So, yeah, your boy there, you mentioned, he might be in a tricky situation.
So I actually wanted to ask you a question as well. So myself.
Ask me, G.
Myself, obviously, my hair isn't ginger, but my beard is. So how much of a ginger does that make me?
You got mad freckles though, right?
I do, especially in the summer. And if you see my arms, they are covered in freckles.
I'd say you're at least 85%. I'd say strong side of the scale, the right side of the scale.
Spicy.
You are a Liverpool fan though, so that's got to peg you down a little bit.
Hey, I'm a red. That's got to add to it, surely.
I think that's going to be a running rivalry throughout this, because you're a Liverpool fan and I'm a United fan.
Oh, so dear God. I mean, I suppose we have to ask them what your feelings are about this illness in particular, kind of halting things and maybe stopping Liverpool again from getting this title.
Well, I probably feel more positive about it than you do. I think it's probably doing United some good, because they kind of look like they'd finally sort of sorted the ship out a little bit, but there were a couple of people that are injured. And I think it's just giving them time to kind of sort things out even more without the sort of pressure maybe they did have when they'd lost one or two games or something. On the other side of it, you could look at it like we just come into a good run of momentum, and that's been stopped where we could have gone on, capitalised more. But even still, what would we have gained? Like maybe fourth or third at most. I don't really know. So I don't think we've lost out as much as you have, because you guys are nailed on to win it. It's just going to be a question now, like if they do decide to end it early, just award it you, which obviously some other leagues have done.
Yeah.
But I might riot if so.
I mean, what are your thoughts on? I don't know if I imagine if you follow football, you've probably seen the German league highlights at the moment. What are your thoughts on the lack of an atmosphere due to no fans?
Crazy. I watched the Dortmund game on Saturday. It's just weird. It's like watching. I was talking to my dad about it. Shout out, big up Mike. It's like watching training ground football almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird.
So much less engaging.
I love the fact that they still play the music though when there's goals go in.
Yeah, and I think there are some grounds where they put like cardboard cutouts of fans on all the seats and stuff, so it still looks.
Oh my God! Yes, did you see the Korean one?
Nah.
So they put. They said that they weren't, but they definitely were. They put real life sex doll robots in the crowd, as
What?
fans. One of the teams. Yes, this is a legit thing.
Send me a link. Send me a link. Send me a link.
I will be sending you that after, but this is a real thing. They
All right,
put
we need to end the
sex
podcast
dolls.
now. We need to end the podcast now.
So yeah, that's a thing. They got into a lot of trouble for that, as you would imagine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, is there anything else that we want to talk about before we kind of start to look at getting ready for next podcast? Do we have a name that we want to give our listeners? Or do we give them the opportunity to come up with it?
What name of the podcast?
No, name of the listeners of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. What should our listeners be known as? If you were a listener of the Ginger and a Half podcast, what would you be? It's a philosophical question. If I've ever poised one.
I mean, some kind of ginger shortbread or something. Gingerbread people? I don't know.
A Shinger?
Shingers?
Maybe we'll take that to social media as well.
Yeah, we're definitely going to put that question out on like Twitter and Facebook and maybe have a poll.
We'll just call them a bunch of bitches.
A bunch of bitches listening in. Yeah, so there goes our rating of PG. Anyway, I think we should wrap up for now, maybe. But thank you very much if you have listened to this crazy inaugural beast of a show, treading the tight rope of gingerness and shortness and the fine line.
It's an area that has simply not been explored enough, is it, Chris? And we've felt wrongly done and almost oppressed, really, by the lack of representation within modern media on these areas. And we're going to both use our very loud and brash voices to stupidly discuss them. And that's that.
And our goal is to get the best ginger people and short people in the industry of music to come and have a chat with us. And maybe even football if we can, because we talked about football on this episode, which now means that we can do that.
The avenue.
Indeed. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this first inaugural episode of the Ginger and a Half podcast. I have been Chris, the short one.
This is Andy, that ginger boy. If you've made it all the way, well done. We salute you.
And all I want to do to finish off is say ginger rights and short rights. Goodbye. Have a glass of orange.
And chill out.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
Bye.